Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the baby barn here again. And today we are going to finally set our chicken eggs. After all the talk about humidity and temperature and turning the eggs, we're finally going to get our chicken eggs, our silky eggs, into the incubator and start them on their incubation journey. So incubating is really just a numbers game, at least when it comes to the timeline you must follow. Follow it meticulously because it can be unforgiving. In theory, eggs should hatch by the end of day 21, at least for chickens. All chickens. It's not breed dependent. Occasionally you'll have a bantam egg hatch a day or two early, but 21 days is the number of days chickens take to hatch. Okay, it is universal for chickens. But, like all births, anyone can be a little bit early or a little bit late. So they're not machines, right? They're not machines, they're eggs. So they'll try their best, but if they're on day 20 or day 22, it's not their fault. So know that you'll need a little bit of patience before you even begin the incubation process. So like we've talked about, you need to first either buy or collect your eggs. However you are getting your eggs, setting the top of the incubator down. So however you're getting your eggs, so without the eggs, you have nothing to incubate. So make sure you have them. We have them. We have eggs both from our flock and shipped. Okay, so these ones here are from our flock and the box underneath is shipped. If you're collecting them, like these, you can collect for up to 14 days before you set them in the incubator. All right? Up to 14 days. I've hatched eggs that were actually up to 24, I think even 28 days once. But 14 is a good guideline. The older the eggs are, the less likely they are to hatch, so your hatch rate will start to drop off. So shipped eggs, like the ones underneath here, so these guys were shipped. They didn't come from that far away, but they still went through the post. So these guys here were shipped. Shipped eggs need to rest for 12 to 24 hours before they can go in your incubator. So time your incubation accordingly. So remember that shipped eggs, they could be jostled in the post. So these air sacs at the top could be a little discombobulated. So really they do need that 12 to 24 hours resting pointy side down just to make sure those air cells do stabilize. Okay? So 2 days before you set your eggs, clean your incubator. So my incubator, they're always clean because I have a separate hatcher, so I don't have babies hatching in here. So they just take a quick wipe and then they're clean. So they're already clean. We're good to go. For cleaning your own incubator, try a diluted vinegar solution and let it dry in the sun before you use it. The sun, the UV rays from the sun, are a natural decontamination thing. Okay, so set them in the UV light. This particular incubator, these are Brinceas. This is an antimicrobial plastic, so it's already pretty good at keeping out the bacteria, but clean it anyway. Clean it anyway. You don't want anything to contaminate your eggs. Once it's dry, set it up, turn it on. Set it to the correct temperature, which is 99.5 Fahrenheit or 37.5 Celsius, and humidity, ideally between 35 and 45%, and let it kind of run for about 8 hours. Now, I'm not doing that. This isn't plugged in. Obviously, I put the top on the bottom. It's not plugged in. But I have found with my Brinceas, they get to temperature so fast, it doesn't matter if I let them preheat. Okay, it simply does not matter. So if you're using really high-end incubators that really get back to temp really fast, you might be able to skip the preheating stage. Otherwise, especially if you're using lower end incubators, let them heat for 8 to 12 hours and then check that their temperature and humidity is exactly where you want it, because you may have to adjust it. Lower end incubators, remember, do take more work to maintain. So you're going to have to just double check everything all of the time. Okay? But once you've got everything set and you've made sure your settings are correct and it's ran for 8 to 12 hours, and your incubator will maintain its temperature because you've checked a half dozen times throughout those 8 to 12 hours. You've come back, you've made sure that your temperature is accurate. You've adjusted if you've needed to. After that, it is time to put your eggs in. Remember, when you're testing your temp and humidity, you want some kind of independent hygrometer and thermometer to verify that everything is indeed as it should be. I always have an independent thermometer in here. This is lab calibrated. I never trust the device, even though my Brinceas are dead on. I have never had one be even a smidge off, okay? But have that anyway. It's peace of mind. It just lets you know that you're not too hot. Too hot's way worse than too cold. So now that we've set everything, the incubator is clean, it's preheated if it needs to be. What you want to do now is make absolutely sure your eggs are not cracked. I have checked them twice. Check everything twice. They are not cracked, and now we're going to set our eggs. Remember that eggs must be at room temperature before you're setting them, okay? So if they've been cold, let them set a few hours to warm up. So what we're going to do is just start lining them up, okay? Place them in their trays and insert the trays into the incubator. Now my trays are automatically in my incubator, but you might have a tray that you move in and out. So we're setting them pointy side down, especially for shipped eggs. Shipped eggs should be pointy side down. They should incubate upright. For eggs that you collected yourself or that you bought locally and you know they didn't have the rough shipping, you can also incubate on their sides. I prefer incubating on the side. So instead of an egg being upright like this, you would take an egg and you would rotate it on its side and place it in. Okay, so we're going to incubate these upright because these were shipped. Also, there's quite a few eggs between the ones that were shipped and the ones that I collected, so I need the space. So I'm not going to lay them down. I'm going to keep them upright. Okay, you also want to record exactly when you put your eggs in, okay? So if it's Friday night at 9 p.m., you need to write that down. Okay, don't just go off memory. You absolutely need to keep track. It's really important. Okay, keeping track is a good thing. We love keeping track. Okay. We're going to grab my eggs. Okay. And we're just going to set them in here. Remember, eggs should be clean. But make sure you keep track. The time you put them in is the start of day 1. Okay? You can set your eggs any day and at any time, but you absolutely must know when you put them in. You have to. Write it down. Record it in your phone. Do whatever you have to do to make sure you're not going to mess up when you put your eggs in. Okay? Go. Just a few more. Okay. So when it comes to keeping track, I like to record the date and time in my complete chicken logbook. I'll put a link to that logbook. If you've watched my older videos, you probably have seen it at least once. I'll show it again at some point, but I just don't have it with me right now because I already wrote down that I was doing this. So I'll put a link to my complete chicken logbook, and if you want one, you can get one. But no matter what you do, you have to keep track somehow. You might write it down in a book. You might write it down on sticky notes that you put all over the wall. You might decide that you're going to put it in your phone, use an app. Doesn't matter, but you have to keep track. So use anything you like. Wall calendars can be helpful. So if you have like a baby barn like I have, you might want to put a wall calendar up because that'll really help you. But keep track of some way. Keep track. Doesn't matter. Keep track. You must know when day 1 started. Do not lose track of this date. If your incubator has an automatic turner, this one does. See the turner, the gears go into this turner and it just rocks these guys back and forth, okay, over the course of the incubation period. So if your incubator has an automatic turner, you'll just have to monitor temp and humidity and kind of check that it's turning once in a while. Okay? You'll want to monitor your temperature and humidity twice a day or more to make sure everything's correct. If you don't have a turner, you're going to have to hand turn. Hand turning is not that big a deal. You just have to do it twice a day, really. You should do it 4 or 3 to 5 times a day. Do it an odd number of times so they don't rest overnight on the same side every night. So 3 to 5 times a day. I usually did breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, and then I would just do that. So 3 times a day is totally fine. You don't have to be out there 99% of the time turning eggs. 3 times a day is totally sufficient. But if you have an automatic turner, you can save yourself that time. And these rock way more often. These rock, what do I have it set for? 4 hours? Every 4 hours they change positions, so that's good. If you don't have a turner, hand turn. If you do have a turner, use it. If the eggs have been shipped, you should wait until day 3 to start turning. You don't have to wait. You can just start turning them automatically. But there is some evidence to suggest that waiting to turn until day 3 means that the eggs will just start developing a little bit better and allows those air sacs at the top to stabilize just a little bit more. So you can turn right from the beginning, but if they were shipped, you can just turn your turner off for 3 days. However, if you set your eggs, for example, 9 p.m. on a Friday, you need to start turning at 9 p.m. on Monday. Absolutely no later than Monday at 9 p.m. Literally 3 days. If you go longer than that, you're going to start having a problem as the embryo develops. Okay? Turning is essential, so if you're not sure you will remember to turn the egg turner back on, don't turn it off. Okay? If the eggs don't begin turning before that 3-day mark, you could have some problems with your chicks when they hatch. So get those eggs turning. I will talk a little bit more if I end up with one like that. I don't normally because I turn. But yes, what can happen if you don't turn, you can have a embryo stick to the inside of the eggshell. And then they don't really develop properly or they flat out die. So yes, you do need to turn your eggs. I know there's a lot of people out there who say they don't turn. But one, sometimes they're turning and they don't really realize it because they're adding eggs to their incubator constantly and shuffling things around. And 2, that's actually really rare for somebody to have success, a great deal of success without turning. So you might have had success not turning, but on the whole, people do not. So yes, turn your eggs. Okay? So now what we're going to do, we're going to get the lid to our incubator, put it on the correct orientation. So on this incubator, I have to make sure the gears line up. So I just slide it on, make sure my gears there are lined up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the entire incubator, just like this. Okay. Just like this, and I'll show you in a second, but I'm just going to grab the cord. And you might hear some beeping. And we're just gonna slide this in gently. Always be gentle, moving incubators full of eggs. Okay? So now I'm just gonna move you down. You can see there's babies in that one. A couple of little tiny babies. And now we're down here with our eggs. So, I'm just going to turn the flash on. So now we're down here with our eggs. I'm not going to touch them for 7 to 10 days. The next video directly after this on the playlist will talk about candling, which is a very important step. But for right now, I'm not going to talk about candling. I will provide a link to this incubator because someone's going to ask. So I'll provide a link to this incubator so you can find it. Okay, this is the Brinsea 28 Ovation Eco, I think. I think so, yeah. But I will provide a link to it. It's great fun. And we will come back and check on these eggs probably in about 10 days. But the video will probably be posted only a week after this one because I'm not posting them exactly when I record them. So that is it for us tonight at Andersen Acres. I hope you have great success in hatching your own eggs because it's a lot of fun and very rewarding. We'll see you tomorrow.